Hi loves, it's Lacey and welcome to our space. So today in our space we are going to be making a wreath, and we're going to start off with this charger plate from Dollar Tree. They have these every year. I picked up a couple of them this year. I also have this little deer wooden piece that I got from Michael's, I do believe. Yes, Michael's. And it was regularly priced $1.99, but it was half off, so I ended up getting it for 99 cents. So we're going to cut off the tag that's on the back of it, or actually the loop that's on the back of it, because we won't be needing this. What I plan on doing is placing it in the middle of this charger tray. But before I do that, I decided I want to go ahead and add something extra to it, which is this really fine gold glitter that I have in my stash. You can get this glitter at any of the craft stores. Even Dollar Tree has some gold glitter if you want to pick it up. So we're using some Mod Podge from Dollar Tree and just a foam brush, and we're going to cover this and coat the entire front of it very, very well with it, and then just sprinkle the glitter on top of it. I have this on some paper towel to catch the excess glitter, and I'm just going to sprinkle pretty much half of the can on here to make sure I get it nice and well coated, because then we can pick up the paper towel and put the excess glitter back into the jar. So once I looked at this really well, I decided it was nicely coated. I set this aside to dry a little bit and put my glitter back into the jar, like I said here. And then I'm going to cover the whole thing with Mod Podge again to ensure that the glitter is not going to continually fall off of this. At this point, I also decided to do the sides of the deer because they were still kind of white. And so I started making sure I got Mod Podge in all of the areas, and I colored that with glitter as well. So next, we're going to be taking this wreath that came from Joann Fabrics. It's the Bloom collection. It was regularly $16.99, and as you can see, it is a nice 24-inch flocked wreath. It's really flat though right now. It was squished down with a whole bunch of other wreaths laying in a bin. And so we're going to start to fluff it. And then once I get it fluffed up just a little bit, I'm going to take my charger tray and put it in the back of the wreath. And it's in kind of two levels, and it fits in there perfectly. Then I'm going to take some green floral wire. I think I got this at Joann's too, but Dollar Tree has floral wire like this. And I'm going to go ahead and twist the wire on one side of the wreath on these little edge pieces that holds it together, and then take it over to the other side, the one that's directly across from it, feed it through underneath the top wire and around the little side wire, and pull it through so it can hold our charger tray in the back. This I felt was the best way to be able to do this. Then I'm going to take some hot glue from my Ryobi glue gun, and I'm going to glue the one side and then feed this back through on the other side a second time to make it twice as tight, and then feed it on the original side and around the little extra wire pen so that I can secure this nice and tight. I'm only going to do this one time. There are 6 points on the back, but we're only going to do it on the one time. And then I'm going to wrap the excess wire around it, and as you can see, it will hold the plate into place. After we do that, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to add more hot glue, and I'm going to put hot glue in all the points where this plate hits those little support wires. This is very, very secure. I'm using Gorilla Hot Glue in my glue gun. Now, if you live somewhere warm and it's going to be really, really hot for the holiday season, I would maybe add more floral wire and other points. But since we're here in Michigan and it's freezing cold, this glue will not melt off the back at all. So then once I get that all done, I'm really going to fluff this wreath up so it's really nice. And then we are going to be making my signature bow. I call it the Whimsical Chaotic Mess Bow. It's the Lacey Space Bow. If you've been on my channel before, you know what it is. To start off, we're going to take this ribbon from Big Lots, which is the Buffalo Check. Then this one and this one, both of them are from Joann's. I had to check right there. This one is from Joann's from last year, and it has glitter deer on it with a bow. And then this one's Joann's from this year, and it has some pine cones and some pine on it. So first of all, we always start off, or I always start off with my widest ribbon. I thought I was going to make this bow really, really large, but then I changed my mind here in a second and you'll see that. But after you put your widest ribbon and flip it over, you're going to add on the next widest, and then you're going to continue to do this as the size of ribbon goes down. So my smallest ribbon here is my deer ribbon. And I did fold this ribbon down and roll it up under itself on the side because initially I was going to make a long tail coming out one side. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. You do not have to do this because this ribbon is specific, and when I went to do this, after I shortened it up a little bit here, I thought I wanted a real big one like I said before, but then I decided, hey, I think I'm going to make it a little shorter. It's going to be too big and fluffy for this actual wreath, so I'm going to shorten it here and make it a little bit shorter. But each time I roll this over, I make sure that these are kind of straight. They don't have to be perfect, and that I roll them all at once. And I'm going to be rolling this one 4 different times. So when you look at it, you can see here's 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to roll it again, which is 2 rolls for 4 different times. That way, when I cut this ribbon up to make my bow, I'm going to have about 40 different loops on it. You'll see, we're going to cut it here in a second. This footage is a little bit sped up because it takes a long time to make this bow, and I didn't want you guys to have to sit through the whole thing. Also, I am going to be linking a bow tutorial where I make the same type of bow. It's just a little bit different and a little bit smaller in a tutorial for you guys, so you can follow it at regular speed. It'll be linked down below. I'll mention it again later, hopefully. So now, once I have this, I have 2 tails sticking out the end. It's not going to stay like this. This is how I do it, and I want to show you how I do it. Most of the time, everything is folded up together. I'm going to take some scissors and cut, as you saw, just through the wire part of mainly the big ribbon in this. And then I'm going to cut the other side diagonal from it just a little, not straight across, because we're going to be using some floral wire here, and we are going to cut off a piece and wrap it around this ribbon. I'm going to bend the ribbon up in what I will consider kind of the front. So bend it up and put the wire around and twist it on what I would consider the back of the whole bunch of ribbon. It doesn't make a difference if you twist it on the side a little or if you twist it on the front. This is just the way I'm doing it right now. And as you see, I twisted it a ton of times. Then I'm going to take some really sharp scissors and I'm going to stick it in the loops and cut them apart right in the middle on both sides. Now I did these a little bit tight, so it was a little hard to get my scissors in there. And this footage is a little sped up because nobody wants to sit here and watch me cut ribbon. But I'm just cutting the loops apart in the middle. I'm going to do this on both sides so all the loops are cut apart in the middle. Like this. So now they're all cut apart. I am going to then take each loop individually, all 3 colors of ribbon, and grab them like you can see on this buffalo check and twist them away from the other ribbon. So they're not all stacked up. So grab each individual one and you're going to twist it. You can twist them different directions. I normally do this. If I have 2 colors that are getting too close to each other, I twist it in the opposite direction. It really doesn't make a difference as long as you get them all twisted. They need to go around at least 180 degrees. This way they get separated, and this is why we cut the largest ribbon. If you have 2 large ribbons, you will be cutting 2 large ribbons over on the side where the wire is. It allows you to have room to twist them all the way out. So that's what I'm doing here. And once I get them all twisted all the way out, we'll move on to our next step. And also you can see on here, I kind of only have 3 tails because I accidentally cut one all the way through, but it doesn't really make a difference because I will show you how to add an extra tail at the end when this bow is almost done. So now that we have so many of them twisted out, this is what it's going to look like. It's like a puff ball, almost like a pom-pom really. So the next step that we are going to do with this is you're going to grab your ribbon one at a time, and there's over 40 in here, like on this tail, fold it in half, and we're going to dovetail them, all of them. We're going to dovetail the tails and all of the ribbons that are in this bow. Now, I make these dovetailed, all of them sometimes. Sometimes instead of dovetailing them, I cut points. Sometimes instead of just cutting points or just dovetails, I cut some in dovetails and some in points. You can also cut some on the diagonal like you would do the tails of a bow. It just depends on what you're in the mood for. But for this particular bow, I'm going to dovetail every single one of these ribbons. And no, I'm not going to make you sit through me doing the entire thing. It would take forever. So now this is what that looks like. It looks fuller, it looks pointier, and we are fluffing it up a little to make sure that all of like the deer ribbon is facing the right direction, because the back of the deer ribbon is plain and we want it to face up, so we turn it over so it faces up in the right direction. And the same thing with the green, it is plain on one side and the other side has the print. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking it and I'm setting it on my wreath so I can see where it's going to go, and we are going to do the rest of the decorations on the wreath. Now, I always put my bow on there to make sure I know where my decorations are going to sit. And yes, my wreath needs fluffing again, and we can do that when it's on the door or once you get the decorations on. So the first thing I'm going to do is take our deer that's full of our gold glitter, and I glittered it because the ribbon that has the deer on it has gold glitter on it too, and so I thought that would be a nice extra touch. You don't have to glitter yours. You could paint it any color you wanted or use a different color glitter, but I am then securing it in the middle of my wreath with a little Gorilla hot glue. Now I'm going to take some of these berries from Dollar Tree. I have these in my stash, but they have them every year, and I'm going to stick them in to where I want them on the wreath. I'm going to put 2 at the bottom of the ribbon and 2 at the top of the ribbon. And as you can see, I'm not gluing them down yet. I always put my decorations on for something like this because I want to see where they're going to go before I glue them so I don't end up making a mistake. This particular wreath is a gift for a friend of my boyfriend Chad's, and so I wanted to make sure that it was really nicely done and everything was exactly where I wanted it. I do this with all of my wreaths, but I'm being extra careful with this one because it is a gift. And so I am just putting hot glue, Gorilla Glue. This will guarantee that it stays, with my Ryobi hot glue gun over on the stems and sticking them in. And be very careful with these berries because these are the styrofoam ones that are painted. They break off all the time, and so when they do, I just glue them back on where they go because it's white underneath. And if I can't find it or it's broken really bad, then I'll just try to match some paint to it and paint it because it looks a little crazy when it's white underneath. And as you can see, my bow is still not connected. I can pick it up and down. So now I'm going to take some pussy willow that I had in my stash. They sell this at Dollar Tree too. And I'm going to take off the ones on the very bottom and set them aside to use at another time because you won't see them when I tuck them under the bow. And I need a spot to put hot glue on the stem. I'm going to tuck those in first too, as I did the berries, to make sure I like the placement of them. And then I will glue them down once I figure out exactly where I want them. Because especially on this pine wreath, this flocked one, the flocking makes things not slide down in there easily. And so until I know exactly where I want the pieces, I try to make sure that I use placement and then glue them down. And on that long one, you can see I just moved the bow up and put glue on it. So I put pussy willows on the bottom and the top, and I think I used 3 of each. I don't show the entire thing. But I thought I was going to use those little pine cones, and I didn't like them. So I didn't use them. Instead, I'm showing you here that I used some gold floral wire and a little bow that came from Dollar Tree. They sold these in packs with red and green. It has glitter on them and little silver string on it. So I just took the silver off because it didn't match my theme. And I'm using some gold floral wire to re-tie the bow. And I'm going to cut off the excess and glue it to our deer. But as you can see also, I do have pine cones on here. I've had these in my stash for years. My mother gave them to me. They're out of her yard. And when I initially got them, I put them in the oven at 350 degrees and baked them to kill any little critters that were in it. And then I put them in a Ziploc bag with a little spray adhesive and some Epsom salt. So that's why it looks like it has a little bit of ice crystals on it. And I've been using them ever since. She gave me like 50 of these. So I just put like 6 or 7 of them on here in random spots. So there's like 3 at the bottom, 3 at the top, and 1 out the side. Sorry, I lost the footage on that, but I think it added something to the wreath to be woodsy. So now here I am showing you how to add an extra tail to your wreath. I am just doing placement here again. However, I don't put any tails on the top. I remembered this was a gift to a young man, so I didn't think it would be good to put any tails on the top. But what I do is I turn it over and I always make sure I leave a little wire at the back. Now, if you didn't leave enough wire at the back to do this, to open it up and to twist in another piece of ribbon, you can just tie another piece of wire on the back of one of the ribbons on your wreath and then twist it on with a little tail. You can hot glue that on too. If you knew for a fact that this was never going to be somewhere where the weather would get to it and the glue would melt or freeze and the ribbon would fall off, then I would suggest doing that. If not, I suggest the floral wire. So here it is. I actually already put my bow on, and how I did that is I tied a piece of floral wire to the back and tied it to the side. You can also do this with a Chanel stem or 2, and it was really easy. Again, so it won't ever fall off. So I love how this turned out. I think it's very pretty, and it's kind of masculine, and it can be feminine too. It'd be a great piece to put in like a lodge where someone went hunting for Christmas because it has the deer on it. I absolutely love how the deer turned out, and I was happy that I remembered I had the little bows. You could put a smaller bow on there because his head looks like it's kind of cut off, but I didn't mind it, and I knew the person I was gifting it to wouldn't mind it at all. And of course, I absolutely love how my Lacee Space bow turned out. I think the colors go really well with this whole deer theme, and I love the fact that the deer on the ribbon is in gold glitter, and the deer that I use is also in gold glitter. So that is it for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching, and if you're not a subscriber here at Lacee Space, I don't know why not, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, become a subscriber here, hang out with us. We have a lot of fun here. I'm going to be bringing you guys some more wreaths here and some other holiday decor. So that is it. I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye, loves.